how to find your passion and promote it. This live stream, number 9, is going to be about whether to go with a big publisher, an independent publisher, or self-publish. So we're going to talk about the pros and cons of each of those ways of publishing. And we're going to share with you the book that was my first published book, published by a big publisher, the Book of Cranes, and my recent memoir, self-published. And I'm now working on a book that is going to be with an independent publisher, a small publishing house that found me. So I have all 3 experiences happening, the third one happening now. So I'd love to share with you what I'm learning as I'm going, and hopefully to inspire you to share your stories with a world that needs all of us to contribute our light and love to the world. So your unique perspective, no one else can contribute. So please, please do that. And I want to thank you for being here. And I want to thank the Minnesota State Arts Board and the National Endowment for the Arts for the grants to do these live streams. And this is number 9. It is, I'm going to read what the first 8 were, and the next 5 will be, so that if you want to see any of them, they're on the Creativity Show, my YouTube channel. The first one was about finding your passion and promoting it. Number 2 was creating and sharing. Number 3 was social media. Number 4 was search engine optimization. Number 5, content exposure. Number 6, press and press package. Number 7, events. Number 8, contacts. And this one, as I said, is about whether to self-publish, big publisher, small publisher. So the next 5 will be about how to find what you love doing and share it with the world. So how to find your passion project, whether it's a book or some other creative expression or craft or service, all the same principles apply. So after that, we're going to talk about how to commit to complete it, because that's very important. You can't share it unless you get it done. And a lot of us artists, creatives, have doubts along the way. So how do you get to the end? That's very important. How to improve through feedback along the way. How to know when it's done will be number 13. 14 will be how to make a promotion plan, which includes all of these different tidbits of information. Some I've learned along the way, some I'm learning as I'm speaking it. We're all a work in progress, and the best way to learn, they say, is to teach. So I'm learning some great stuff during this series of live streams. So I'm very grateful for that. And then number 15 is how to celebrate you did it. Very, very important. So Thursday, my next live stream, How to Find Your Passion Project, will actually be on Thanksgiving, which is for me a great way to give thanks for trusting in myself and what I love to do, which is create and share the joy and healing and life enhancing and the economical, ecological, using our imaginations to solve problems and enhance our lives. So that will be on Thanksgiving. So today, about publishing, I showed you the Book of Cranes, but Bo, if you would show them It's actually printed on both sides, and so it's kind of an art piece book, which printed on both sides, all 15 species of cranes I painted. And as I've said before in these live streams, the publisher asked me to write it, and that was not something I had done before or was confident about, but I took a leap of faith that I could do it because I love cranes and I did the research. So I also wrote it, designed it, and it was published by a big publisher. So I know something about that. And did we show the stencil that I like to mix it up. Let me show you this again. If I didn't show it to you for the first time, this is the iris. There's the pink iris, and here's a note card that I did it in purple. And these stencil designs are the iris and the chrysanthemum are now available as SVGs. And I'm going to keep going, and the rose will be next, and then it'll be some orchids, and I'm just going to keep going because I have lots, almost 300 stencil designs that are going to be put out as SVGs, that scalable vector graphics people can order on the internet or join my Patreon, and members will get all the SVGs with no extra cost. The membership will cover all of the stencils that we're going to just keep putting out. I have 300 flowers, wildflowers, other botanicals, grasses, branches. I have a whole set of 26 different warblers and the wildflowers that are in the region that the warblers are. Cranes, I have 12 different crane designs. So I have a lot, and we're going to put them out one at a time. They can be purchased for about $3 on Etsy or my web store that Bodhi, my son, is technically facile, created for me. Thank you, Bodhi. And there'll also be, I'll have a Patreon very soon that membership will get, the members will get all the SVGs as they come out, and videos on how to use them on walls, on fine art, on clothing, on hats, so many different ideas that I share in these videos, how to even how to cut your own SVG if you don't have a Cricut cutter, with a razor blade or a hot knife. I even have some cutting some stencil designs with the scissors. So I like to go from the simplest and then all the way through, showing people how to use the Cricut cutter to cut these designs for you. So you purchase them for less than $3, and the Cricut cutter cuts them, and then you get the fun of painting them on clothing, fabric, whatever, walls, table runners, hats, whatever you want to use them for. They're yours to use. So, so that's very exciting, and I like to mix up different creative expressions to keep myself inspired, fresh, to keep a beginner's mind, keep trying new things, not things I think I already know, but keep looking at creativity from different perspectives. And I'm trying to do that and share that about how to promote our creativity, which is a whole nother set of complexity and challenges. But I like what I heard, and I shared in my last live stream. that we're really promoting an idea, not ourselves. For us artists, generally speaking, especially females who are taught to be, not talk about yourself. There's a lot of that even for males in the world, our society. So how do you promote yourself when you're not supposed to talk about yourself? So it's really an idea. In my memoir, the idea is rising above darkness, just as the title says, Incandescence, rising above darkness. The title Incandescence because my mother wrote me a note. Did you know you have inner incandescence, dear? And then rising above darkness is why people ask me to write my stories, because the ways I have risen above the darkness in my life has helped others, they said, and so asked me to write my memoir, share my stories. It has over 60 pieces of my art because besides creative expression, to heal myself, to express emotions, stimulate my immune system, step into creative reverie, to step into the flow, to increase happiness. It's also, nature has been my source of serenity, and my mission is to promote living in balance with nature, living a peaceful life, peaceful with each other, and inclusive of all different sorts of people. And that's basically what creativity is accepting ourselves and the things that our imagination is exploring without judging, without limiting. So creativity comes from opening up our minds and hearts to feeling and seeing and expressing it. So my I guess my mantra is increase connection to our imagination, the confidence to express it, and the courage to share it. That's my life work and mission. So this, how to promote our passion is part of it. So let's get to the big publisher assets deficits, independent and self-publishing assets deficits. So with a big publisher, obviously the assets are that they have experience and they have you will have the prestige of going with a big publisher. So that's valuable. And the big network that will have of editors, designers, agents to help guide your process and your project. So the deep experience and network, and perhaps besides the prestige of having a big publisher publish your book, there's also the distribution network they have already set up of all the places that sell books. And there's also their large network, task sharing possibilities and learning from their experience. So those are all very important assets a big publisher can offer us. The deficits can be control over our content, or the cover, the title of what's in the book. And that can be something some people don't want to give up, and others are fine to work with the editor's suggestions, the publisher's wants and desires, and their perspective is to make money. And that's, certainly a wonderful thing from our efforts, but it's not the only thing. Art is something, creativity is something that I believe we do for love. And so the money and the recompense we can get, the appreciation, is secondary to that for me. Andy Warhol, I think, said the greatest art is the art of making money, but we all have our own opinions. We get to disagree respectfully, and if that made him happy and fulfilled him, good for him. But for me, I do it first because it fulfills me. It makes me feel like I'm contributing my best. I'm staying inspired by continuing to learn and share that is deeply gratifying. So that's independent publishers. Excuse the frog in my throat. The credibility, they still give you credibility of going with an independent publisher. And they have a network, experience, and distribution, depending on how long they've been doing it and who their connections and experiences are. Big publisher obviously has more, deeper resources, but independent publishers can have also the asset of more control over your content, your cover and title and what back matter and introduction and all of that. And so that's really worth carefully considering. And an independent publisher, a small or boutique publishers, they sometimes call them, can be just as credible as the big ones in some ways, in some circumstances. Each one has its own idiosyncrasies, its own experiences, and the doors it can open to it, to showing your work to others. And the deficit with the big publisher is division. You're dividing the profits. The same with an independent publisher. They may have slightly better percentages going to the author, artist. That's, something you need to research, because everybody, there are some standards, but there's also a lot of variety out there of types of offers. With the self-publishing, you have total control over the content, the cover, title, everything that's in it, and there's no profit sharing. But obviously, there's no network of experience and the distribution and the team of people that have done it before, that know things. So I chose to do my memoir as self-published because publishers didn't want to put that much art in it. There's over 60 pieces of art, over 40 photographs. So that's over 100 color pages in there, because that's very important to me, that having art between each short story, each chapter, because art, creative expression is part of my story. It's how I got through the tough stuff. So showing it instead of just talking about it is extremely important to me. And almost all the art is nature. There's, the cover, there's a human being in, but, and there are some 7 cities at sunset, but most of it is nature, because that has also been my source of replenishment. And it's also my, my mission is to hopefully inspire through art and philosophy, story sharing, all of that, living in greater harmony with our environment, which has never been more important now with with global warming and the catastrophic events that are happening because of heating up the planet and the pollution, the degradation of the environment, acidification of the oceans. There's so many ways we can see the effects that not putting living in balance with nature first is having a terrible effect on all of us, but not proportionately. The poorest are affected the worst, and that's not right and fair. So, so having the art in it is very important to me to be a champion for the environment. So that, because big publishers are all about, the profit margin, and the more color art you have in it, the smaller your profit margin. But so I decided to do it self-publishing, and Bodhi and I learned how to make it into an ebook, and a color version and black and white version. We even created our own audio booth down in the cellar to record an audio book, and that will be out at some point in the not too far off future. And it's been a great learning process, and working on now learning while I'm hopefully helping you with this information, how to promote my work and how to promote your work is been very challenging and very gratifying to learn to do these different things that are necessary. That the big publishers have an editor. I hired a professional editor, and the big publishers, have the distribution team and, the design team and the this and that and this and that. Well, we did it all, except for I did hire a professional editor, and I am open to working with a promotional person because I'm never going to be great at it. I'm accepting that promoting an idea, of living in harmony with nature and creating more peace on earth, collaborating creatively with one another is a beautiful thing I want to be a champion of. So I'm comfortable to promote that. But creating takes a lot of time, and time is a resource that is finite. So uh, it'd be really nice to have a promotional person on the team. But now I know through doing um, these live streams what a promotional person should do, what the different steps and different categories. And so I feel like I'm preparing to start the interview process of who to work with based on knowing something about it, instead of just wanting to pass it to someone else because it's uncomfortable for me to try to promote myself. I'm learning that, well, first of all, I'm promoting an idea of using creativity to heal and enhance life. And I'm also learning what a promotional person needs to do, should have experience in. So I feel now, instead of just hoping that I found someone that would be great on the team, I actually know a bit about it through doing these live streams. So that pretty much covers the big stuff about big independent or self-publishing. So I'm going to ask Bodhi if there's any questions that have come in. There he is. Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Let me get the microphone closer.
And he's in the room behind me. And
Hello,
uh,
everybody.
there-
It's a clear our throat kind of morning. Oopsies. Okay, so yeah, we've got a few comments, and excuse excuse the technical difficulties for the ones that I'm not able to show on the screen right now, but Sumner just said, Sumner Madison on Facebook, another great presentation by Duluth's best kept secret.
Uh-huh. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That's very sweet.
And so we have a handful of friends on Facebook are watching and on YouTube. Thank you guys. And we're also live on Twitter and LinkedIn. So I'm unable to get the comments to show on the screen right now, but I'll just go ahead and read some of them. Some of them have popped up, so you might have seen them already. DB wrote, I love your memoir. I was happily surprised to see just how much art is in the book. So unique to see a book designed that way. I think it was a wonderful choice to include your art. And then they said, I am learning so much about creativity from your stories. Smiley face.
Thank you. That's very, very kind. Thank you.
Yeah, well, that's not so much a question, but maybe you want to talk a little bit more about the process, because that is a very unique choice to put so much art, and it's very well organized for the amount of images that are in your book.
I've also wanted to say that putting art between the stories for the reasons that I mentioned earlier, and also so there's a moment of rest, natural meditation, contemplating the art and the harmony, the balance of nature, because some of the stories, it is Rising Above Darkness, are pretty dark. There, I went through some stuff that we wish no human being ever had to, but we human beings do have dark things that happen in our lives, and we have to, or we get to, find a way to turn our our adversity into advantage. For me, it's turn it into art.
Great. I was just checking because I could tell my mic was not turned all the way up. Here we
Now
go.
I can hear you better, thanks.
Okay,
Yeah.
yes, I just had to check. People were able to hear me, but the volume was a lot lower. So then Madeline said, heart emoji, the art is amazing. It's like a peaceful rest between each story. I agree. So
Thank
you
you.
you kind of covered the art there.
Thank you.
Then what motivated you to pursue a publishing deal with a major publishing house for the Book of Cranes?
Well, that's it's an interesting, uh, how life happens is always interesting. First, I just wanted to paint all 15 species of cranes. So I went to the library. I was living in San Francisco at the time, and I couldn't even find good photographs or paintings of them. So I thought, well, somebody should do that. And so then I found out there was an International Crane Foundation. I called, and the director invited me to observe the cranes in their enclosures close up. And I came back and took all that observation and material and filled my studio with it and painted the 15 species with the agenda of showing the 15 species and also 15 different crane behaviors and environments they live in, so that it really told the crane story. And then a designer in San Francisco got an award from MoMA in New York, and she came to me and asked me if I would collaborate to propose a product that they could market. And so we came up with the first design for the Book of Cranes that I brought to a publisher. And the first publisher I brought it to said, yes, and you should write it. And the design changed significantly from our design, which was very kind of modern art design, very to this much more accessible design. Um, and that's how it got published, and then that's how I became a published writer as well as painter, because the publisher suggested I write it because I loved cranes, and I certainly had brought back all the resource materials I needed to find something unique and interesting to say about each crane. And I really, at the time, well, first of all, Bodhi hadn't been born, so I didn't have any technical assistance to even grasp the idea of self-publishing, which when, my, when Bodhi asked me a number of years ago, before moving to Duluth, if I would partner with him in business, and named us Mother Son Productions, and we've been doing. He does the technical part, as you can see, and so self-publishing became a possibility, and then it became the way to go, because publishers, they don't want that much art in a book unless it's an art book, and mine is a life story, and my life, like Bodhi did a video of me at 16 digitizing my portfolio. He said, I have to do a documentary on you, and he named it Life of Art, because that is, the thread that runs through my life is art. So not having art in my book, that's my memoir about my life, just was not, it's not acceptable to me. And I had some big publishers with a literary agent. The big ones say your stories stand on their own and your art stands on its own, and it should be a coffee table book, but they don't go together. And I'm like, well, no, I don't agree, respectfully. It's my life, it's my art, and so there you go. It's going together. And I'm so glad, because honestly, I'm the kind of person that wants everybody to be happy all the time, though I know that's not possible or even realistic, but it's what I want. And so putting heavy stories in my book, I wanted people to have the moment of peaceful nature, to let go any sadness or difficulty that the stories contain. And that's how I have done it. And that's what it was just as important for me to share how I rose above, not just telling stories about what I had to go through. So.
Great. Yeah. And I'll continue with next question. Moving movie. I love your book of cranes and your memoir. This is from YouTube, by the way. Regardless of the publishing path, what has been the most rewarding aspect of bringing your books to readers?
The most rewarding aspect is people telling me it helped them. Um, that's it's. I'm actually by nature uh, a one would say an introvert. I call myself a contemplative. My mother's greatest fear of when I was a child, she told me when I was an adult, and she lived with me till pretty much the end. And she shared with me, when I asked, what was your greatest fear, was that I would join a monastery on a mountaintop and no one would ever see me again. So I'm a very peace-seeking, contemplative, I call myself the friendly recluse. In my solitude, I'm always thinking about what makes people happy and how we can increase peace and harmony in the world. So to step out of my comfort zone and share my real stories, my vulnerable self, and face that tremendous fear, and have people tell me that my stories, which is why I wrote it, help them to heal their difficulties, their disappointments, traumas, abuse, whatever, and help them understand other people that they need or want to feel compassion for and to assist in their healing journey, so that it helps people keep going and restore their hope. That's really the best. And with the Book of Cranes, I also self-published after the book some stationery with the crane, a couple of the cranes in it, and I gave it to a man who was going to go out and hunt cranes. And instead of arguing with him or, telling him he shouldn't do that, I just gave him my stationery box, and he got tears in his eyes, and he said he wouldn't hunt cranes anymore. So that kind of stuff, is deeply, deeply gratifying and moves me to help the cranes, to help people heal. Um, nothing is better than doing what we love and having it move other people to be more positive and hopeful, because life can be very draining, and there's a lot to worry about. There's a lot of stress and trauma in it. So um, it's great to be a little light in the darkness.
That's beautiful. Well, we have two more questions that I see on YouTube. I'll search the other places. But again, if we miss your questions this time around, guys, we can always get to them next time. We will not miss them entirely. Again, she's live on YouTube, The Creativity Show, on her Facebook profile, in a Facebook event page, on Twitter, and on LinkedIn. So we're trying to make sure to get all of the comments. So Moving Movie then went on to ask, did you use Ingram Spark? And I can field this one for you. I think because you were at the time
Do it.
talking about ways that people who self-publish can move forward. So yeah, Ingram Spark is a big, they actually print the books. And so yes, we use Ingram Spark, and we also use Amazon KDP. So the same book is printed on demand by two different companies. Ingram Spark allows us to sell the book through every other bookseller, including Amazon, and then also listing the book on Amazon KDP allows us to have two different formats. The Ingram Spark book is full color, and that can be purchased everywhere, and the black and white book is purchased through Amazon. So yeah.
Yes, and that brings another, if you self-publish, you can, and I looked into that, go to a printer that has the capacity to do books and invest in your own book. The more you make in that first run, the lower the unit price for each book goes down. You can do it that way, but then you're the one that has to send them out and fill the orders. And between Bodhi and I and all that we're doing, I decided that it was better to let Ingram Spark and Amazon print the books, and the ebook. I know so little about the technology. I'm going to let Bodhi come back on and talk about that. But if you do print your own book, chance you might make more money. but you do have to distribute it yourself. So you have to do that math and make those decisions yourself. But how does the ebook, obviously you don't print an ebook and it's up on the internet, but how do you make that and offer that, which is the simplest way to go,
Yeah.
and
In fact,
a good first step if you
exactly.
want to self-publish.
Publish the ebook first if it's your first time formatting a book, creating your own book, self-publishing, an ebook is a great first candidate because you can easily edit it and change it. In fact, on Amazon, if you want to change your ebook's manuscript, which is the word for the file, the document that you send to them, it's free. You can edit it as many times as you need to. You know, especially if you have a 70,000 word memoir, it's foreseeable that even with professional proofreading, there might still be a typo. There are often typos even in really big publisher books. And so imagine printing tens of thousands of books and you find a typo. Well, with Amazon, you can just go and fix that and republish it. And it happens very rapidly and it's free. Ingram Spark, however, is not free. For people who haven't yet published their first book, it's technically free if you are part of a certain group that costs $90 a year. But other than that, it costs $25 each time you want to edit your Ingram Spark manuscript. So make sure you don't want to edit it too much after publishing it. Ebook. Amazon KDP is their Kindle Direct Publishing. It handles their print on demand, paperback, hardcover, and their ebooks, which is called Kindle. Amazon Kindle is the marketplace where people buy ebooks through Amazon. It's the world's largest ebook seller. So it's definitely the first one to look into. There are multiple other ebook marketplaces. I believe Ingram Spark allows you to create ebooks. The only two places we sell ebooks right now are Amazon, because it's the world's largest, and Kobo, which allows people to buy the ebook through their local bookstores. We just really wanted to be able to have, no matter who you are, if you don't want to shop on Amazon, you have the option of getting the book. But pretty much everyone else, if they want it, they're going to go to Kindle. So um, you format your book and then you turn it into what's called an EPUB, EPUB. And for normal books like my mother's that are mostly text, you want to create a scalable, I think that's what it's called, a scalable ebook, so that it can change sizes, because every different e-reader, whether it's an iPhone or a Kindle or a laptop, is going to have a different size screen. So that file needs to be able to change sizes. And then what that also allows is people can change the font, the size of the text. If you're making like a cookbook where the exact formatting needs to stay the same, or a comic book, for example, where things can't scale without losing their meaning, then you make an EPUB which is fixed. And in that case, they're just flipping through like a PDF. Okay.
Nice. Yes. So if you're self-publishing, going with an ebook first so that the people that read it can give you feedback, yourself, anyone, and you can make changes free up until you really feel solid that it's got has no errors in it. It's the way you want it. Then is the time to either invest in a run through a printer, or go through Kindle or Amazon and And the Kobo thing, I wanted to talk about that. Any bookstore, so you can offer your book to your audience while supporting your local bookstores, your local businesses, because with Kobo, and any of those bookstores, independent sellers can purchase the book to offer to their clients. So that's really important to us, is to have support for the local businesses, the small businesses, and um, also the ease of being able to order it online if that's what people choose to do. So giving people choices whether to order it through their local bookstore or off the internet through Amazon or is, I mean, you can get my book at Walmart or your beautiful little local bookstore. And I try to, I believe art is for everyone, and I try to make all of my art as accessible. We do prints here at the Emerald Lady that Bodhi has learned to do museum quality prints of my art on archival paper and acid-free inks, and they're numbered and signed, so they're high quality prints. And because we do them ourselves, and he's made a web store for them, we can offer them at a reasonable price. So art is for everyone, and the fewer markups you have up the chain of distribution, the lower your price can be, so more people can afford it. So is there another question or comment?
Yeah, one last one, and then you can wrap it up with whatever you'd like, however you see fit. The Lone on YouTube asked, in what ways has different size publishers influenced your various books developments?
Well, that's a that's a very good question, and there's there's a couple things I want to say about that. I have already said that I create from inner inspiration that I would just call love for sake of discussion. And so the money part is not my first priority. And all my life, I've been an artist, and many times in my life, I've done other things, from working on the boats and cleaning houses and running my own restaurant and being a manager of another and waiting tables, being a janitor. I've done many, planting trees, painting houses. I've done many things for money, but my art is for love. So, and at this mature age, I get to finally, not too long ago in life, really focus on my art without having to do other things for money. And I've also learned to be very frugal, and um, I love to make everything, so I, don't have to buy as many things. I don't buy any new clothes except for socks and underwear, and so I've learned to live a very frugal life so I can afford to be an artist and do art for love. So I don't change what I feel inspired to do so that the publisher will like my work. Um, I do listen, and I don't think I know it all, that's for sure. And I love to listen to people that know more than me. But if it's like the big publishers wanted to publish my stories, but wanted the art to be separate in a coffee table book, I didn't go with them, because for me, it's very important to combine them. So I don't change what I hold, I'll call it sacred. Um, Being a champion for nature and peace is sacred premises in my life, so I didn't want to change that. to go with a big publisher, even though I'm sure I would have made more money. But, it's not over yet. And Bodhi wrote a screenplay, a series pitch based on my life stories. And if that gets greenlit at some point, or we make an independent film and it wins at a film festival, the book could go, you know, go supernova uh, without a big publisher. So you never know. And some compromises you're fine with, and some you're not. And that's every individual creator's uh, journey and decision. Um, and, the Book of Cranes with a big publisher was changed from a far more elegant, tall, narrow, that quite, even though it was printed, I designed it to be printed on both sides. It didn't really stand up, it fell over. So I was fine with the changes that made it more practical, accessible, more likely that more people would be able to enjoy it. I was fine with those changes. They didn't feel like compromises. So sometimes publishers have great ideas that make things better. And I'm open to that. And now I'm working with a boutique publisher, and they're going to have, I feel really comfortable with them because we talk back and forth, and they don't tell me what to do. They make suggestions, and I give responses. And so we come to something we're both comfortable with. And that's the sort of relationship I wish all content creators have with those who produce their work. If you choose to go with a big publisher, make sure they respect you and treat you well. And know that this is important to say, that publishers don't really necessarily promote or market your book. They have a distribution channel, but they expect authors, um, artists, books to promote themselves. Very few publishers actually do the promotion. So you need to know that whichever way you go, big publisher, small publisher, self-publisher, promoting our own work is the way it's done now. And unless maybe, there are circumstances where that's different, maybe a successful author and certain contracts and such. But generally speaking, you're going to promote your own work. So that's why doing this series on how to promote your own work is so relevant, and makes me feel good. I'm learning as I'm going and trying to inspire and encourage others to go for it. Share your story, share your information, share whatever you're passionate about, and believe in it and go for it.
That's lovely. Well, I think that's a beautiful place to end it. And again, guys, on all the different platforms, if I missed any of the comments and questions, we will address them next time. But I think that was really lovely wrap up.
Thank you. Thanks everybody for being here, and please tell a friend. And that's the best way to promote, is word of mouth. So I really appreciate that when you do that. Thank you, Bodhi, and thanks Minnesota State Arts Board and National Endowment for the Arts. And thank every one of you for being here. And know that you can see these as soon as they're done. They go up on the Creativity Show, so you or your friends can see them anytime you want, or you can watch them again if you miss something. And really appreciate the comments and the questions. Thanks so much.
Alrighty. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.